pressing the mute. There we go. And we're live.
And we're live.
So Twitch is a maelstrom, I think would be the word tonight.
It's pretty terrible.
If you're fortunate enough to get into chat, then you can chat. Kale, I don't think was able to. I was able to on like my 5th attempt, and it seems like I'm sitting there alone. No one responded to me. So if you're having trouble with chat, then you can head over to the YouTube stream. I will put the link in chat, but
hey,
no one can see it. So if you head over to Twitter, we posted a link over there.
Yeah, I think that's actually on the page, my YouTube channel. You can just click it, and it'll take you straight to the page. I don't think I actually put this on the main end of the site, so I'll do that here right now. But yeah, welcome guys. This is episode number 55 this week. Frag Logic. Yeah, it's a lot. We're talking about Titanfall today, obviously. Heavy emphasis on that, but we still have our weekend gaming stuff. A little bit of gaming news thrown in. We got some new updates today that we kind of felt like kind of talking about. I was actually in the middle of reading this article before we try to do this setup. Now, if you guys aren't aware, last week we said that we were going to be streaming the game while the show was live. So that is still happening this week. So once we hit the Titanfall stuff, Colin and I are going to hop on Xbox One. We're going to switch the overlays. Then we're just going to be talking about the game while we play. There's a couple different things we're going to be talking about. We got weekend gaming stuff. I'll get into mine here in a second. Loadout Titanfall, obviously. We got Ken Levine winding down Irrational
Games.
Games.
They didn't say like closing,
yeah,
studio or anything like that. So yeah, we'll talk about that.
And then Cliff, I'm going to have you kind of talk about Cliff thing because I didn't get a chance to finish reading it all the way. But he had some very interesting quotes about his personal life and what he's doing right now with gaming and, you know, kind of where he feels like gaming is at this point in time. And then we got the Twitch Plays Pokemon Madness that's in there. All before we get into Titanfall. So weekend gaming for me consisted of playing a lot of Loadout and playing a lot of Titanfall. I think, I don't know, I think you guys probably played more than I did, but I clocked in a number of hours on Titanfall so far. And it's pretty much everything that I had hoped it would be from when I played PAX and everything that, you know, Colin and I have been kind of harping on for the past almost year now. It'll be like a year in March that we've been talking about Titanfall on and off on the show.
The hype train has had a long journey.
Yes. So for us, I mean, it's pretty much right. I mean, it's in line with what we expected. So had a blast playing that Loadout. I've been streaming a lot more, and obviously I've been playing quite a bit. We launched in January 31st, so we're just over the 2-week mark, having our game out in the wild and in the public. So it's been an interesting journey and experience launching my first game. And so obviously I've been playing and stuff with the community. I actually did a play, I think on Friday, and we did like maybe 2.5 hours. I played with the community on the game. So I'm picking that up. I do that every Friday. So that was fun. And then I just got in a couple weekend games here and there, but that's pretty much been my weekend for gaming. Colin, have you gone to this new Phil's Ice House?
No, I haven't.
You need to go to it by iFly.
Okay.
Just come over here, and we gotta go to Phil's Ice House.
Sounds good.
I did that. Yeah. Well, no, they burgers and fries.
Burgers? Okay.
Yeah. So that's my weekend.
So I played like 20 plus hours of Titanfall. When I wasn't playing Titanfall, though, this is still my addiction. If you look at that bottom corner, 768. You can't tell because it's blurry as hell. The bottom corner, 768. It's a new one. High score, 22,000. My previous high was under 10,000. That was the first time that I made a 768.
Just so you know, you're terrible.
Still addicted. And this is threes for anyone who wants to join me in this addiction. It costs like $1.99 on the App Store. It's an ingenious little puzzle game. Say it that way. Well made too. So that's my non-Titanfall addiction, but I've just been grinding out Titanfall for the most part.
Yeah, we've seen the videos, Mr. Movement.
It's been fun.
Can you call you Mr. Movement?
Mr. Movement.
Mr. Sky.
We can go with the Sky Captain. That's what
Sky Captain. The Sky Boss.
That's what we used to run with back in the day.
Yeah, that is true.
That's what I told you to run with back
in the day. The Sky Captain. What's up, dude, with the video camera? Stoic, Mace the King, Robert Perkins. How you guys doing? We are streaming again this on both Twitch and YouTube, but Twitch chat is shitty right now. So
yeah. If you can
connect, I'm only looking at the YouTube chat today. Yeah. I am only looking at the YouTube chat. So I have no eyeballs. I can't load the Twitch chat or else I would. News stuff. So I only got a couple things this week. Ken Levine, he's the co-founder, I believe, of Irrational Games, was the co-founder of Irrational Games, came out today and said that they are basically closing shop on the studio. You know, we kind of talked about it at work. I'm sure you guys probably did as well, Colin. It's always a topic of discussion whenever, especially a bigger studio, or one that works on a game that you end up knowing and playing. I think one that went down here was Visceral. When they closed shop, they did Darksiders. Right. And so, you know, that was a big topic of discussion because they were right by our studio. But yeah, it kind of always stings a little bit. Like, you always feel like you work in an unstable environment in the games industry, because BioShock, for all intents and purposes, is a huge franchise. And to see them close shop is kind of like, wow. And I think the article that I read said that they were basically hand plucking 15 people from that group. I don't know what their studio size was at. Was it 80, 90?
It was probably quite a bit. They had a ridiculous budget for BioShock Infinite.
Okay.
Like, they actually went way over budget. If you remember, it got delayed several times as well.
Right. So, I mean, it kind of stings to see them close shop, and, you know, some people are going to be out of work, got to get their resumes ready. But you know what's interesting out of this, Colin, is Rod Ferguson left right before this went down.
Yeah, I think
so he must have knew
context behind what happened there. You know, because like he went over there, and it's not normal for someone to hop over, help close out a project, and leave a studio. You know what I mean? Like, that's not something that happens. So I imagine that's what ended up happening there. Is that he knew what was coming, at least.
Yeah, so I thought that was Envy, what's up? I thought that was pretty interesting to see, you know, that unfold. You know, we just talked about the phrase winding down. It was just a soft way of saying, hey guys, you're fired. Sorry, you're getting laid off.
Yeah, and it wasn't clear if they were even continuing the studio or if they were making a new studio. Like, that was very vague.
Well, from what I gathered from it, they're actually going to be under Take-Two, and they're just taking 15 guys from Take-Two, and for all I can tell from what I read, I guess Irrational is no more.
The good thing, 15 guys from Irrational.
Right, 15 guys from Irrational are going with Ken to Take-Two, and the BioShock franchise, I think, is now in the hands of 2K.
Right.
If I'm not mistaken. So, I mean, 2K is Borderlands, right? I mean, Gearbox, Borderlands stuff. So I guess that's in good hands.
2K is probably one of the more respectable publishers nowadays.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't see anything wrong with that. I mean, the game, if BioShock continues on next gen, I don't know what I would expect. I mean, I didn't actually play Infinite. I played BioShock and BioShock 2. And as soon as they said no multiplayer for BioShock Infinite, I was just like, I don't want to play this. So,
I mean, it fits anyways. Like, that franchise has always done titles where they're kind of isolated. Like, they kind of connect them somewhat, but for the most part, like, they're unique stories. You know what I mean? Similar to Final Fantasy, I guess, in that sense, where they keep thematic elements together, but it's a unique world each time, you know. And Bioshock Infinite touched on a lot of that, so it seems like it's definitely something that can be done by another studio, I think.
Right. So yeah, that's the news there. If you guys didn't know, I can't link anything. It just sucks. This sucks, Twitch. Why you got to do that to us? Can't link anything. Anyway, if you go to irrationalgames.com, you can find it there, or GameSpot or IGN. It's been talked about, or on Twitter, quite a bit. Next thing, Colin, is all you, Cliff Blazinski, talking about his new perspective on life.
Yeah, it was just a nice little article over on Game of Sutra, with some good quotes, I guess. Obviously, he had talked a few months ago about when he makes another game, it's going to be an arena shooter. He wants to make an arena shooter.
Yeah.
And we had kind of discussed that on the show. He also said he wanted to do it with like a small studio. So he's kind of elaborating some of that. He also was talking about Gears, and he said, as far as Gears, at the end of the day, you're shooting fucking lizard men in the fucking face with a fucking chainsaw gun. It didn't wind up what I had hoped. I pitched it as Band of Brothers with monsters. You know, Band of Brothers is well done and emotional, telling the story of the greatest generation and what they did in the war. Yet somehow we landed on Predator, and characters being all buff and manly. I'd never planned that. So this is the first time I think I've ever seen him talk that frankly about how he felt about Gears, and how that came out, I guess, in the end.
Right. That's interesting.
Yeah. He said you can't plan for that with game development. It's like doing a Ouija board with dialogue. He said barked. It gets easy to slip into Schwarzenegger territory.
Get down. Do that. No.
Yeah. He said, despite the bad dialogue, everyone would always be quoting Gears, you know. And he's compared to Splinter Cell. He says he loves Splinter Cell, but he can't remember any quote from the game, you know.
Right.
So there was that aspect of it. But he also said when he makes another game or does another studio, he wants... let me get the exact quote. He says it'll be on PC. That's where the community is. This says the trend will always be the core. If I start a studio, I want a community manager there day one. I want weekly video and podcasts. I want task lists available in the subreddit. When my wife and I play Rust, before we play, we check the subreddit. Whenever we get a little bored with the game, someone issues an update. I feel like a game developer again where I get to check out build notes. The whole old guard where you get a Game Informer cover and E3 reveal is dead. I'll never make another disc-based game for the rest of my career, and E3 they're trying to woo buyers from Target and Walmart. So you can't wait for the next thing from Fulbright, which is the developers in Gone Home. And where's that quote which I fucking quoted earlier?
Oh, YouTube?
Yeah. That was the one I was looking for. Hold on.
Your game is as good as
as good as how many YouTube videos it can yield. Before saying that him and his wife are hooked on Rust right now, and a lot of that's about the YouTube community and the Minecraft, same deal. Yeah, so I think that's something I think rings really true, that your game is as good as how many YouTube videos it can yield when it comes to multiplayer in particular.
So here's the thing: do you think by good he means the actual game, or and this we actually had this discussion about this quote? Do you think that he means the gameplay is good, or that you have achieved success if people are talking about your, or they're the same thing? If you have a lot of video uploads about your game, is that successful, or does that mean your game is good? Because it could also be the exact opposite. Like, here's an example. There is a lot of videos on Surgeon Simulator. Mm-hmm. The game is goofy. It's okay to laugh at, but for all accounts and purposes, I mean, it's just not very good. It's just funny. And I don't know if it's supposed to be good or supposed to be bad, but it makes for good YouTube videos. Does that mean that the game is successful, or does it mean that the game is good?
Depends. I mean, I'd say, like, for example, I think Rust is a good example, just because that's a game where you have lots of people making content. It's not just like YouTubers that are already popular making content for it. It's YouTubers growing based strictly off that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Which I think is the distinction between something that's entertaining, Surgeon Simulator, and something good in this context, to me, is that it's engaging enough that people care enough to make YouTube videos about it.
Interesting. Yeah.
And then that can breed a community and that kind of deal. Which again goes to the multiplayer thing. Like I don't think single player is the same. I don't think single player applies as much there.
Big, yeah, we know. I know this is on Weekend Gaming. Weekend Gaming covers news as well, so that's why I don't change it. Once we go to Titanfall, then I'll flip it. But yeah, this is all encompassing Weekend Gaming. So the other question I think I have, and it's not really a question, more of an observation, I guess, based on our own marketing. We basically followed the exact path that Cliff is talking about for our launch. You know, as an indie studio, it's really important that you hit with players directly. And as of right now, I mean, the power of YouTube, the power of Twitch, and to some degree social media basically empowers you as a studio to directly connect with people. Much more so than I think an IGN or a Polygon or a GameSpot or any of these other people that traditional media that we're kind of used to with game journalism can do. You know, outside of, you know, that Evolve cover, I think, on Game Informer, and I think Cliff is I mean, he's in the right direction, but I didn't even know about Evolved until people were talking about the Game Informer cover of this game. And they had a huge article about it. I mean, I'm sure we would have found out even if that wasn't the case.
I mean, that goes into what he was saying, though, like about hiring a community manager day one and making the community part of your development.
Exactly.
And getting them involved. Like, you wouldn't have known about Evolve because they hadn't fucking said anything. Like, there was no reveal. Like, they're following that traditional model. Where I think that they may have been more successful following the more modern approach where it's everyone's involved in the development, you release builds early, and so on and so forth.
Well, here's the thing, though. We don't know if they're going to have a beta or not, but that Game Informer article also got them some publicity enough to be like, oh man, this is now a game on my radar, and they don't have a community to build around the game. And I think that based off of the replay value that I can see with that game, it could resonate well with the same audience that Cliff is talking about, so that the game, you know, started traditional, but it may branch out into that new form of media slash advertising that you can use with YouTube.
It could. I mean, part of the advantage of the community approach, and you know this as well as anyone, is that you build up early on and you have that community base. So when you launch, you already have that base. You have some content. You have your content creators. You have your, you know, the people in the community that'll help hype shit up and pass links around and that kind of thing. Where day one, when Evolve launches, there's gonna be no community.
That's true. That's a good point.
It's have to come out of nowhere.
Yeah, that's a
good point. You
look
at things like Left 4 Dead's another case where it was like a very similar game to that. And I wouldn't say it ever like became a huge YouTube game. It was pretty popular in its own right. It sold copies. It got good reviews, but it never really became a huge YouTube thing. And there wasn't really a big community. And to date, I don't think there's a huge community for Left 4 Dead outside of like the modding and map creation guys.
So the other thing I kind of want to point out is that developers, especially ones that have CMs, community managers that know the scene, know where people are, and aren't trying to necessarily utilize traditional media, they're starting to, you know, target big channels and reach of where people are at, where players are at, where, you know, this content is being produced. And, you know, there was that big hoopla over the Machinima Xbox One thing where all those people were getting shit for it. Remember, if you remember that. And my name was on that list for whatever reason, and I didn't accept any money. Again, you can go back and watch that episode if you need to refresh your memory. But I think that it is inevitable at this point when, you know, someone like PewDiePie, who did a video for us, got 3.4 million views, and you look at IGN, and they have 10,000 views on a video for us. Who are we going to try to say, hey, can you make more videos for us? Is it going to be IGN? Probably not.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, I mean, Cliff has it down. I mean, I agree with him 100% that, you know, this type of audience, YouTube guys are definitely defining, you know, eyeballs, obviously, you know, for media reach and to some degree if your game is good or not. Because if you have those guys that continue to make videos for you that are substantial players in that space that have an audience, then it can be pretty fruitful for your game. Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the only way to be successful.
No,
but
it's not.
Certainly one of the big things he was about in the interview was the idea of community involvement, wanting to make games for fans, essentially.
Right.
And that's definitely the approach that goes most directly to that, I think.
Yep. So that's about it on Weekend Gaming. We got one more thing you want to talk about, that Twitch Pokemon thing.
I just wanted to mention it, since it could be part of the reason that Twitch is such shit tonight. So there's have you seen the stream at all?
I watched some of it. I didn't. You know what I saw? I saw people going back and forth.
Yeah.
I'm starting to drop frames on YouTube.
Uh-oh. Are you still with us?
Yeah, I'm still here. Go ahead.
Okay. So yeah, it's they're playing Pokemon Red with everyone in chat putting the inputs into chat, and then the script or whatever reads that and then makes that move in game. So now it's up to, like, earlier today there was 100,000 concurrent people playing, which obviously is madness,
Right?
Complete madness. They got stuck at one point. Now they had to make it so there's voting for either Anarchy, which is the old system where everyone just inputs commands, or Democracy, where it takes the highest vote. So it takes like a 5-second poll of what everyone wants to do, and then it runs it.
Yeah.
And then they're voting back and forth, and you're voting for Anarchy or Democracy constantly, and then everyone's putting in the commands. It's just fucking 40,000 people just spamming chat, which, again, is probably part of the reason that there's chat issues all weekend and tonight. But it's pretty cool just as a experiment, I would say social experiment, little gimmick thing. Obviously, Salty Bet was really popular with a similar kind of viewer involvement formula. I think it's pretty cool. That's really all I had.
Okay.
That was
so let's go ahead and switch on over.
All right.
We're gonna start talking about Titanfall. So let me make sure this works. If the stream goes down at any point in time, guys, just head over to Twitch. Because Time Warner, you know how you guys know, they like to try to fuck me.
Constantly.
So, I'm gonna go ahead and switch over. Got a different layout. Let's go.
You should be able to just join my party by hitting play, right?
I'm already in the party?
Should be from earlier.
I don't remember accepting.
Oh, then I'll send you an invite. Alright, let's see.
I'm gonna go ahead and turn this off. See if that helps with my bandwidth. No, you gotta send me a new party. Alright, so Titanfall
go ahead.
beta basically came out Thursday for most people. Well, I want to say most people. For some people. For some people. Friday for others. And by Friday evening, I believe, they had pretty much said, you know what? We're just going to let this open it up to everybody. Xbox on Snap. And it didn't want to do it. Okay. But yeah, they basically opened it up to everyone so that they could get more people in and really stress test the servers, I guess. They didn't really have too much downtime from what I saw. I think I saw the European servers went down momentarily. I want to say maybe an hour or so. And on Friday, when they started emailing people, they had some issues with servers not working. Because we all tried to play and it was down for a little bit. I don't know how many hours it was down. But I know when I got back home, it was up from work. So
yeah, I didn't miss much gaming time as a result. I've actually been really impressed that the servers have held up. As they made Xbox One open beta and PC is nearly open. I think they sent invites to everyone that signed up, is currently what PC is at. They never actually opened it. They said that they had some server cap issues, so like they weren't gonna be able to open it all the way.
All right.
Yeah, they haven't had any issues. I've been surprised. The servers have been okay. I wouldn't say they've been great. I've been like 3 or 4 bar, but I haven't had any like super issues. I haven't seen people warping around very often.
Yeah, they haven't been perfect, but they've been pretty damn good. I'm gonna switch my headsets here.
So.
And you can still hear me, correct?
Yeah. So the first thing I wanted to first thing I had down was just general impressions. Obviously, we've both been on the hype train for the game from day one, really. So we keep getting the question like, hey, did it live up to the hype? And it's like, we pretty much made the hype. So we already were sold on that when you played at PAX and I played during Alpha. Or when I even saw the first gameplay video, I was sold. So I guess, do you think it lived up to the hype? The beta so far?
I answered that on my impressions video and said the same exact thing as you. It's like, I have a tough time, you know, trying to say whether or not it's lived up to the hype, because we were the guys like, man, we can't wait to play this game. I mean, and I'd already played it before, you know, before the beta, before a lot of people got to play. So for me, it's like nothing has really changed. There's a couple of damage tweaks that I can tell, maybe some stability stuff, but it's not readily apparent. And it's not even worth mentioning at this point because most players are playing a completely different game than what I played or would have remembered playing at PAX. So for me, yeah, I mean, this has completely lived up to the hype. It's been everything that I pretty much expected, what I hoped for, and you know, I think it's going to have a very substantial impact on how a lot of shooters are perceived for the next, you know, in addition to, you know, games like Destiny, for the next, you know, 5 years maybe. So
yeah, that's what I'm most excited about, is the effect that this game is going to have on the FPS genre. You know, over the past, obviously we talked about this point, and I keep bringing it up, but I think it's really fucking important. We haven't had a new IP in the multiplayer FPS genre in a while, like 7 years-ish. So what's happened is everything's gotten really stale, and everyone just keeps like chasing Call of Duty and copying Call of Duty and just making Call of Duty over and over. So it's I think it's good for the industry that this game is not a complete flop. I don't think it will be a flop. I'm not sure how it could be a flop after the reception I've seen from people over the past weekend. There's some people who don't like it, which is to be expected.
And,
but for the most part,
some of the things that I've seen people say are things like, this is just Call of Duty. And if you look at a lot of the content, and mind you guys, we're kind of not playing all the way in this, so because I'm focused on talking about the game.
I'm playing all the way.
I'm not. I can't do it because I get too focused on this stuff. But mind you, you know, some of the people that I've seen play are fucking awful at this game. I'm just gonna flat out say it. A lot of the popular YouTubers that I've seen, barring a couple guys at this point, have just been terrible at this game and showcasing what it can be and what it's supposed to be. Most of them play this fucking game like Call of Duty. So when, you know, you get someone, and this is a bad side of what that whole thing we were talking about with Cliff, when you get someone that's like, you know, really popular playing this game and they're sitting there doing exactly what I'm doing right now, they're walking around like this, or just running and shooting and just not wall jumping, or you see them do one wall jump and go, oh yeah, that was cool. It's like, what the fuck? This is not what that game is about. And then you watch a video like yours, and we don't have the same type of popularity as some of these other guys. So, you know, when people see our videos, they're like, wow. Oh, I get it now. Oh shit, I didn't even know I could do that jump. Oh my god, that is so much better. And how many comments now? We have like 150 comments on, you know, between the two videos that you've just posted about your movement in this game, because everyone else so far, and mind you, the game just came out, so I understand there's a learning curve for certain people that haven't played a game like this before, but everyone is playing this game like it's Call of Duty. So, you know, from an impression standpoint, it's really bad and off-putting to new players that are not interested and don't actually get what this game is, to see some of the popular guys playing this game like it's fucking Call of Duty when it's not.
Yeah, especially when the marketing is very much like, yeah, there's AI on the map, yeah, there's Titans, you know, like the marketing isn't about the movement. So it gets lost on people that are more experienced in games where it's like, hey, I play FPS. This just looks like Call of Duty because the people I'm watching are playing it like Call of Duty. And I'm not really that excited about AI on the map. And I'm not really that excited about Titans because I don't really care for vehicles, you know? But then they don't show the movement in any of the promo stuff I've seen outside of the initial trailers that they showed from like E3 gameplay.
Right.
So, again, I feel like the game isn't being represented correctly by the YouTube press, which is a shame. And I hope that over the next like 2 or 3 months-ish, everyone starts to get on board and realize what they're missing by not playing it like a new game, you know?
Yeah, and that's gonna take a lot of time. I think I wouldn't be surprised if we don't start seeing what. And this has been the general curve. Here's a good example. In Monday Night Combat, we were playing that game. Even Gears of War 3, and I remember LTZ saying stuff like this. We have a tendency to really pick up games really fast, and that's one of our strong points as a team. And I don't know if it's because of all the games that we've played, and by the way, this is Titan gameplay, or if it's just, you know, we just have that ability. But Monday Night Combat, we won that first tournament, and I mean, there was no one remotely close to us in that game when it launched. And it was pretty popular for an arcade game, but it's kind of the same thing. I think we won't see anyone that really gets it, especially on all the maps, all the routes, everything that you can do, weapons to use, fully utilizing what's at your disposal in this game for a couple months. I would say 3, 4, maybe 5 months out, we might start to see some people really understanding this game. And then, you know, the fact that there's going to probably be a competitive crowd, we're going to see an even bigger gap between the people that play this game competitively and the people that pub this game up. There's going to be a big discrepancy in that because those guys generally play at a higher level of play for a longer period of time, and so naturally you start seeing stuff that you hadn't seen before, different strategies, different routes, different ways to play that are going to further distinguish most of the popular players from, and when I say popular players, the crowd that people are really watching from competitive play. So, you know, there's going to be a big, huge skill gap bar with movement and the general understanding and flow of the game for quite some time.
Yeah, I agree. Again, I really wish they had private matches at launch because I think it would help that develop a bit quicker. We'll get into that a little bit more when we talk about competitive side of things. But one of the general notes which I made during the beta is that the skill matching isn't there at all, it seems like. I'm currently at like 90% win. I think you're probably around the same. I've seen a few even guys I've watched play, they're okay, but they're not great. Like, they're like, yeah, we won 40 games in a row. You know, so it doesn't seem like there's skill matching currently. And they're not giving away for competitive guys to go off on their own and play. So I think what's kind of happening now, and what might happen once the game comes out, is there's this issue where you're just have the sharks in with the minnows again, as we said back in Gears, where the good players aren't gonna have much fun because they're just stomping shit, and they're not gonna get any better because they're just stomping shit, you know. Right. And you have the other people that are just dying and then they're gonna quit playing. But I think the game's gonna sell enough where it's not gonna be a dead thing that kills things, you know.
Yeah, perhaps. Like,
I'm really worried about getting stale if there's not any skill matching at launch. And currently, I don't think there's any.
Oh, I just smashed his Titan with my Titan. But yeah, that's one of the things that I had said, and that's my goal right now is to, if you think this game is Call of Duty, or you think this game is Battlefield, or even if you just want to have a good time but you don't understand how this game plays, my goal is to make you quit. Like, you're either gonna suck it up, learn how to play, or I'm gonna make you quit. And that's just, and I'm not trying to be an asshole about it, but I want people to understand, like, what they've been missing out on in shooters for the last fucking 10 years by playing the same stuff that we've been playing for forever. And so my point, and we were doing this, you know, just playing with the guys, and we had that group last night. And for those of you guys who watched the stream, We played a clan group of 4, I think it was, and they hopped in, and we actually sat down and played for real, and it was just not close. I mean, I think that was the lowest score we'd ever seen on Hardpoint. I think they got 50 tickets or whatever it is. So I mean, it's like, and they quit out immediately after, and we thought they were going to continue playing. That's what we're looking for. It's like a challenge. I enjoy losing in this game. It's like, yes, yes, I've been challenged, and it makes me like, okay, I need to sit down and focus. So for me, I am all about, you know, trying to explore how deep the rabbit hole kind of goes with the skill gap.
Yep, and we probably won't be able to really dig into it that much until after privates come, which is the shame, I guess. It's going to make people learn the game, which is going to be good, because as you said, a lot of people are playing it like COD, a lot of people are playing it like Battlefield, but it's something new. And what's been striking to me is a lot of the complaints are very much like, this isn't like COD, this isn't like Battlefield, while simultaneously people are saying, this game is pretty much COD.
Right. Or, and here's where I hear COD a lot is, man, why is there no recoil? The guns have no recoil.
Yeah.
And so you get a lot of overlap. I mean, there's one aspect of it is, Respawn is Infinity Ward. No matter how you slice it, how you cut it, the gun gameplay in this feels like Call of Duty because they made that game. So, I mean, I would say their expectation for me, knowing their history, is going to be like, okay, their gun gameplay is going to feel like Call of Duty. Recoil, I can't honestly say that I would want the guns to have a ton of realistic recoil. I wouldn't think that would make this game very fun. I would probably go for, if they had rocket launchers or something like that, I would try to kill people with rocket launchers, to be honest, if the recoil was ridiculously high. This, to me, doesn't... And if you look at I'd say if you look at any arena shooter, there's hardly any recoil on any of the weapons.
There's none. In fact, if you go to Quake, you go to Unreal, there's none. There's none.
None. So if you don't have that understanding, then looking at the gun gameplay and going, oh man, this looks just like Call of Duty. Oh, there's no recoil. Yes, but have you played Unreal? Have you played Quake? And games that have similar movement, there is no recoil in the weapons, and that is for a reason. So they can either do this approach and have very little recoil on the weapons, or they can give us things like rocket launchers and have recoil on the weapons, but everyone's going to choose burst weapons in place. Because it's just unrealistic from a game design standpoint. Not talking about the realism in the game, but it's unrealistic to have the expectation that you can track people, even with mouse and keyboard, well, and manage recoil while you're playing. It's just not something you can do with movement like Colin's. I can't imagine trying to shoot him off the wall with every 3 bursts. I have to control my burst on it. He'll be gone. Yeah. He'll be gone around a corner before you get a kill. So it just doesn't fit the game design. You have to understand that. And you have to have history with other shooters to understand that, and kind of get why that makes sense.
That's just it. It wasn't the game they were trying to make. Like, they weren't trying to make COD. Just like they weren't trying to make Battlefield. You know, so it's like to say, yeah, this isn't like this, so I don't like it. It's a bit backwards, in my opinion.
Danny's coming in?
Is he?
I'll go ahead and answer it. Wait, did that take me out of Collins?
Did it really?
Yeah. Hold on, I gotta go back. Okay. Gotta go back to that call. I just put him on hold. Alright, it just put you on hold.
Yeah.
That was weird. I thought it was going to add him to the call. But, if you want to add Danny, you can.
No, that's fine.
Okay. Sorry, Danny.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about and we already had started, the first thing I had on the list was weapons and the pilot gameplay. So, obviously, you already talked about the recoil. How do you feel about, in general, the weapon selection in the beta? I mean, it's pretty vanilla, I would say.
Yeah, so far, I mean, they haven't really showed anything, but I don't know if you read, I think you did. You read the IGN thing, right?
Yeah.
Did you see some of the weapon selections that they had in there? Potential?
Yeah, I mean, it was still lots of the stuff is revealed in the amps currently, where it's just the same. Like currently, if you get burn cards, there's a few different weapons that there's amped versions of them on the burn cards which you can view, like the Kraber, sniper,
Right.
for example, and the LMG. I imagine there will also be vanilla versions of those. But again, obviously it's like one of every type, unlike COD where it's like 25, 30 of every type. Same thing with Battlefield, like there's just so many different assault rifles and SMGs. So how do you feel about the vanilla selection?
I mean, from my standpoint, everything feels pretty good. I used the only thing I didn't really use was the what weapon was that? The smart pistol. I didn't use a whole lot of the smart pistol. And right, but here's the thing.
It's the worst weapon in the set.
I have yet to really. I think I've been killed by the smart pistol 3 times. Like with someone like tracking the lock on. I think I've been killed 3 times total with the smart pistol. Yep. And anyone that has watched my gameplay, if you look, I mean, I don't even know when I've been killed by a smart pistol because it is so. When I'm moving around, I don't give a person the opportunity to really track me down unless I'm just not paying attention. And then they end up popping me. But I don't feel like I've died very many times to a smart pistol. And yet I see all these people talking about it. And I think it's from gameplay of people thinking they're killing people, but they're actually killing grunts, locking on with the smart pistol.
It's possible.
So that's...
Or it's just like you see it once and it's like, oh, that's cheap. But you don't like really take into effect like the actual kill times in the game. It's like, oh, it locks on, it shoots and aims for you. But then you ignore the fact that anyone with a brain can shoot you during the lock-on time. And it's a long-ass time in comparison to the actual time it takes to kill.
So that would probably be the only weapon that I think I haven't used. I'd say the weapon I dislike the most currently is the shotgun.
Being on the receiving end.
Being on the receiving end feels pretty shitty. And shotguns in Call of Duty have always been the same way. Pretty shitty on the receiving end. But to use it feels fantastic. Like, it feels awesome to use it, but there's something about, like, yeah, that it just feels kind of cheap. And that goes into that, you know, instant burst weapon type thing I was talking about with rocket launchers. If you gave me a rocket launcher and I had to go rocket launcher versus shotgun, that shotgun's going to lose. But without having that burst fire weapon, I think it kind of becomes difficult to counter that in some situations. So take, for example, B on this map or B on Angel City. Like, you feel at a disadvantage without a shotgun because of the tight corridor space. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it's...
What?
I felt the same way. I'm shooting awful. I felt the same way when I'm getting killed by an SMG, though, or an assault rifle from mid-range. Like, to me, it feels like every weapon has its place currently. Although I did try the amped LMG, I thought the gun was awfully even in the amped version. So there is that. But it seems like, to me, like, everything has a purpose. It's going to depend on map and situational, more so than anything else.
Right.
Like, I can't shoot people from the rooftops on Angel City with a shotgun. You know, like, that's not an option. I need to instead flank around and pop up behind them and shotgun them in the back in order to get kills.
Right.
It requires an entirely different approach to how you play, which I think is what they were going for. And I don't think the game needs a ton of different variation of the weapons. Like, to me, I'd be happy if there was like 8 or 9 weapons and they were all balanced against each other to a point where they were situational. More akin to, again, we keep going back to the arena reference of Quake and Unreal, where they were all very situational and you had to know which situation you wanted each weapon. You kind of picked to also suit your play style on the given map, which I think is a good approach. How about the equipment? Obviously, it was just we got stim and cloak.
Stim and cloak, yeah. So
playing the game without stim is rough.
Yeah, I don't. after using stim, I don't know what. I mean, that would be hard for me to make another decision on what I would use. I mean, there has to be something really compelling for me to pick anything other than stim at this point in the game when the full game launches, because stim is just awesome. It's cool being able to really fly around the map and get places a lot quicker than you would otherwise without it. So for me, and I've used cloak, but I don't necessarily think that it's something that I would use exclusively or maybe even at all. I mean, it has to be very situational where I would probably say, okay, cloak is good here. Or, you know, like rushes. Like, let's say we did a rush. Okay, I need cloak on this specific rush for this reason. Then it might be something I would try to organize. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I feel the same way.
Shot.
Although I have been thinking lately about how stim might just end up being a crutch. Where you almost need it, but you don't really need it kind of thing. But again, it seems like initially stim is better than everything else. As far as grenades go, all about those arc grenades. Seems like they do everything that frags do better.
Perhaps.
It's my initial impression.
I do like that you get 3 frags.
You can get 3 arc grenades with the perk.
I'll tell you what, it's pretty hard to talk like this and play without being focused on the game.
So the last thing I had on pilots was movement. Obviously, I'm a huge fan. And we kind of talked a little bit briefly about how it's going to take people some time. But there's so many fucking options with this movement system. I hope that it's the one core thing that they don't change over the course of whatever expansions or DLC and shit they release. To me, it feels perfect currently. Obviously, there's some like little map nuances where you get stuck on shit because the map clip is bad.
And I got stuck in a light post.
And you got stuck in a light post somehow. But on the whole, like the movement is really deep. Like I'm still learning like little nuances to how you can move and the different options. Like for example, the other day I was messing with the bunny hop timing where you can keep your momentum going and you can go like pretty much straight across the fucking map, not losing your stim speed if you hit your bunny hops correctly. I also saw someone drop with the perk where you drop the Titan in faster. It does like a pushback effect, and you can use that to start a jump at crazy speed. So I saw that the other day. I haven't even gotten to try it yet.
I actually had that happen to me, and I wasn't sure if I had perceived the Titan dropping down and then it gusting me away.
Yeah.
But that is okay. That is what happened. It wasn't a glitch or something.
Way to kind of start off runs. So
interesting.
Again, I'm a huge fan. I think the movement's fucking solid.
I don't think. I'm trying to think what I would maybe change with the movement. I'd say other than clipping, there's not much I can think of. There is some nuances that I think that you've saw. I think it was on Reddit or something like that, where there could be potentially like some strafe jumping where you actually pick up speed or maintain very high speeds.
Just maintain, which is what I had mentioned before going across the map. It's just you hit the bunny jump timing at the right time and you keep your speed.
So that's one thing I'm trying to learn how to do, but other than that, I pretty much have everything else down. I just have to get into the habit of engaging a little bit more as I'm flying around, and it's a lot harder to do with a controller. And part of me wants the saber tooth, so I can use my back fingers to parkour a little bit more than even bumper jumper. I don't really like using my index. So that may be something I would like to see if Razer has a saber tooth. I mean, they've confirmed a new controller. I don't know if it's going to be a saber tooth or not, but yeah. But I think that's the only thing I can really think of is maybe the consistency with wanting to shoot and fly around with non-shotgun weapons. Obviously, I haven't used the light machine gun, even though that's a burn card. But that would be my only like gripe with it, shooting while moving.
Yeah, I mean, I've been able to use assault rifle a bit, it seems like the issue there is more connection based than anything to me. Like you can't get enough hits off in time before you like hit the ground. I do think that like if this is just the beginning, I'm already getting shotgun kills on people while I'm moving, then it's probably gonna get to a point where we're able to get kills while flying through the air while running and shit.
You know what else?
Going for 3 days, right?
Yeah, scaling walls to get in windows is very frustrating.
Yeah, it does suck.
That is the one thing I think I dislike right now is scaling walls upwards to go into buildings. That really pisses me off right now. More than
wall, so
right. So that is probably the most awkward thing I can think of as of right now about when it comes to movement. Whoa! 3 guys on the bottom of B.
Pretty heavily map based, and that's really going to depend on how good their maps are. Like if Eagle City's the best movement map, then it could be kind of bad, depending on where the rest of them land. Like running out Fracture isn't nearly as fun.
Looks like we're lagging a bit, or that guy's lagging a bit.
Yeah, we're 3 bars, or at least I am. Yeah, you got 4.
So you guys saw that little bit of lag.
As far as movement goes, then it could kind of suck.
What do you think of the sniper? Colin, you've mastered it more than I have. I don't like the sniper. I've used SMG, the shotgun, and the smart pistol. Actually, I've used all the weapons now I think about it. But I like the SMG, the carbine, and oh, I haven't used the light machine gun. I have not used that. But I like the full automatic weapons. I don't really like the burst ones too much. Shotgun is the exception, but I also feel like the shotgun is pretty fucking cheap. So, I don't know if I would go to the sniper because I think it's very situational and you have to have a certain amount of patience to use it or get good with it. So I don't know if it's something I would use a lot. But I think it does have its place. I mean, when we were playing with Sean, we actually tried against that team that was in here, that clan or whatever. Having him on a building on this map, like, changed the dynamic of where they could move versus where we could move. You know what I mean? Because he was taking them out like it was nothing.
Yeah, it could be. I think in general it's pretty situational. It's probably also depend on the map as far as like where the wide open spots are. I've been using it like a shotgun, realistically. I've just been flying around shotgunning people with it. Because I can't stand to just sit on a rooftop like some of these guys.
Yeah, man. I don't know how many people we've seen now sitting on rooftops.
Quite a few. So I think it covers pilot gameplay. I've personally just been pretty much only on foot. Like, I haven't used my Titan at all. I've just been calling it in as a autopilot, and I'll set it on guard or follow depending on what I'm doing.
Whereas me...
Yeah, whereas you, on the other hand, have been all over the Titan gameplay. So if you want to talk about that a bit.
So yeah, sure. I used everything. Even at PAX, they had the ability to choose, I think, those 3... no, I don't know if the 40 mil cannon was in there. Could have been. I felt like all 3 of them were available. You still had the Atlas, but in... the beta or demo that we're playing right now, you can actually use burn cards to call in the Strider or the Ogre. And I haven't called in either of those, but in terms of Atlas gameplay, I really like the Titan movement and gameplay. I feel like it's almost like Hawken. If I could compare it to any mech game that I've played, the speed feels very similar to Hawken. Not the updated Hawken that has the low damage, but more of the Hawken that they had, I think, in early open beta, where it takes a little bit of time to take people or the Titans out, but if you have group fire or team fire, you could really wreck a Titan really fast. And I kind of feel like that's how it plays out right now with the Titans. The one thing I'm kind of concerned with is, and it's still potentially an issue, is the spawning when you have a Titan. There was, and I've talked about this before actually the other days. Whenever I call in the Titan, I'm going to call it in now. and we've been on this map and we've been playing as a team, I've been able to hold down C. Let's say we spawn at A and we have control of A and B, but A was our initial spawn. I could spawn at C, or I could take my Titan over to C and basically wreck shop on their spawns because the spawns are very bad. Like, they don't flip like you would expect them to.
I don't think they flip at all, from what I've seen. I think when people run past, they'll spawn on the person that ran past, but I don't think they flip, just because you have all the points.
So I mean that's probably the only thing I've really noticed. Come on, dude, get out. Stop going the same way as me. But as of right now, I'm loving the 40 mil cannon. People have been talking about the burst fire portion of it being pretty strong, but I feel like it's good. I don't know if it's OP. I think Bigness said he felt like it was OP.
I mean,
it feels.
Gambit, right? Like the quad rockets is supposed to be good against just Titans, pretty much, and then you have the 40 mil, which is kind of like the middle ground, and then you have the chain gun, which is infantry based.
Right.
So I think it should be kind of like right in the middle of the road as far as between Titans against Titans and players.
Oh, I'm in a intense fight.
Yep.
Am I gonna get him? And I took him out. Get out of your Titan. I'm gonna eject too. Get out of that bitch. So yeah, I really enjoy Titan gameplay. I played a hell of a lot of Hawken. So for me, I think I naturally kind of gravitated towards the Titans right away. Whereas I think you and Tense have really focused on ground game. I've been focused on my Titan game more so than, you know, movement or just, you know, pilot on pilot combat. So
there's gonna be like to me, I feel like the game is tilted towards pilots currently, as far as in the initial set of options. As far as in the initial set of options and just how it's currently balanced, because the rodeo is really strong. Like, you just kind of force them out of the Titan is pretty much what happens every time.
Or you can say I'm going to take electric smoke, which still you're going to get.
You lose about half your health.
Yeah. So I would agree. I'd say that it is very pilot heavy, but I think that's the point. I think they were concerned with, you know, people perceiving if the Titans were too strong, people perceiving lots of balance issues if it was the other way. Oh, I get kicked. Oh my god, it's so strong. You know, you hear a lot of that. Yeah.
I haven't really heard anyone say that, actually. I haven't seen many comments. The only thing that I've taken issue with is the chain gun is a little strong at times, to a point where you don't even have a chance to defend yourself.
You know, one of the things with the chain gun is that if you go autopilot with the Titan and you have the chain gun, that auto Titan becomes pretty good at taking you out and holding down an area. Like, you don't want to be out flying about or just, you know, kind of dilly-dallying around if you have a an enemy Titan that has the chain gun, because you'll get wrecked.
Yeah, I've actually been really impressed with the auto Titans in general. Like, the during early gameplay and alpha and everything, they got a lot of flack for the AI being bad, specifically in response to the grunts and the specters. But what wasn't really noted was that the AI for the auto Titans is really good. They use abilities well. They use vortex at reasonable times. They're not going to beat a human player heads up like hardly ever, but they do hold their own. And they will hold down a point on their own if, like, they're planted in a window.
Right.
So it's pretty damn cool. I think the autopilots do well enough that I don't feel gypped by not being in my Titan. You know, I can just leave it off on its own. It'll get the occasional kill. It'll get the occasional spot. Hell, I get kills because someone jumps on my Titan and rodeos it, and then I see the dot and run over there and kill him, you know?
Right.
So I don't feel gypped by having my Titan on autopilot. Although, I have seen some fucking ridiculous cross-map chain gun suppression on Wraith the other day when he was sniping from across the map. There's like 3 Titans just sitting next to the dropship, shooting chain gun at him endlessly. He couldn't even move because they were just checking him down immediately.
Someone said they could barely hear you. I have my Elgato volume turned way down. Let me turn it down even lower. I'm trying to think what else. The dash on it feels good. It feels pretty fair. Sprinting. That's one thing we didn't talk about with the sprinting is that it's always on. You don't have a meter. You can always sprint.
Isn't there?
I don't think there's a limit. It's at least not when you're in a Titan. I don't think there is. I haven't tried to sprint all the way. Yeah.
I've never actually ran along the ground long enough to know if the sprint res out.
Yeah, you end up jumping. Yeah, you end up jumping. I don't really think I've missed too much with the Titan movement. I think between 2 really good Titan pilots, you guys saw me take out a couple guys there. It's all about movement. And you know what? I'm going to actually make this connection between the two, but I feel like Titan gameplay actually feels more like Gears because you end up in strafe battles more so than you do like running straight at someone or sitting behind a corner and kind of fighting someone. I'm sure eventually we'll start seeing people like corner shoot people with Titans with maybe the 40 mil cannon, but it's pretty hard to do that, especially against pilots if they're flying around. If you're sitting in a corner, like you have to get up on pilots. But if you do get a across the map shot, you're going to be like, oh my god, that was awesome.
Yeah.
But I feel like the battles feel very much like strafey Gears of War type of fights.
I think they do. Although I feel like it's really easy to retreat because of how the shields are currently set up. At least in my opinion, like it's really easy to just take a few shots and then get away. Where you almost need to flank people with another Titan. Like when I was playing Last Titan Standing with Xeno, and we were kind of rolling together, I had a lot more fun in the Titan than I did normally. Just because I was able to, hey, I'm going to go around on that guy since he's no shields and do some damage kind of deal. Where currently if you're on your own, like if they decide to run away, your only real option is a double dash towards them.
Right.
And then you're completely defenseless against whatever you rolled into, you know?
And then if they use the smoke, then you have to double dash towards them and then potentially go into the smoke, which makes it even more difficult. So yeah, I agree. It is pretty difficult if they decide to run away to kind of close out on those.
But right now, people aren't running away because I don't think people realize that that's the optimal play, is my current thinking. But it's one of the things we'll have to see over time. I think overall, the Titans aren't overpowering as many people thought they were going to be. I think they add some action to the game. The only time that it gets really awkward is when there's like 8 of them on the map, and they all kind of converge in the same area and just kind of have like a Rock'em Sock'em Robots battle where they're just kind of punching each other, you know?
Right.
And you can't really tell what's happening. There's not great feedback for that kind of spam, and the effects just end up layering on top of each other. That's really the only time I feel like the Titans feel awkward or clunky. But it doesn't happen that often. I do kind of wish that there was maybe less frequent Titans, is my initial thoughts.
And I think that's
gets them around the same time.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what I kind of said in my gameplay impressions, was that I felt like the timer for the Titans feels a little too short and can happen too frequent. Not to mention that you can instantly call in one with a burn card if you chose to.
And you know what? I think we'll just go into burn cards. We'll go into AI after that.
Okay, so go ahead, Colin.
Burn cards weren't in alpha. They were revealed and announced with the beta. And the idea from the interviews and article I read was that they're supposed to replace like power-ups. So for example, like quad damage in Quake or a rocket launcher in Halo. So they're trying to replace those kind of things. But the thing which they listed as like their chief thing they were trying to solve was in Halo, if I'm a skilled player, I know where the rocket launcher spawns. I'm going to get that rocket launcher, then I'm going to grab it for the rest of the match because I'm going to know when it's going to respawn. And I'm going to continue to get the rocket launcher. If you're a new player, you might never even learn where the rocket launcher spawns, right?
Exactly.
Okay, shit. Let me get him. Oh, it's chain gun. Okay. So yeah, you might not ever even see it. So what they were trying to do was solve that and say, hey, with this burn card system, everyone gets to use a power-up, but it's tied to the life, so you won't necessarily get to use it as much if you're not as skilled, but everyone gets to use power-ups, essentially. The issue I have there is that you have to farm them. Like, in order to be competitive, like, say I actually wanted to take pubs seriously, since right now that's all you could take seriously, you would have to essentially almost always have a map pack card, always have whatever your weapon of choice was, or maybe just 3 map pack cards, I don't know, prosthetics, all the rare stuff. And if you don't have that stuff and someone else does, you may not actually have a chance to win the match. Like, map pack is fucking stupidly strong. So is, like, perma-stim, so is perma-invis, so is some of the weapons even, like the auto-shotty. Like, it fucks with the balance so bad.
Yeah.
It just makes it feel random. Makes it feel really random.
So...
Yeah, I don't know what this... Like, I can't even, like, propose an easy solution that isn't just cutting it.
It isn't just disabling burn cards, because, you know, we just talked about how the game is supposed to be. But, like you, I was like, I heard about burn cards, and I just don't get it. Like, is this one of those things because Hearthstone is fucking popular? They said, you know what? We need cards in our game. You know why? Because, fuck, Blizzard made it, and that's what people want to play right now. We're gonna hook people on that shit. And for me, that feels stupid. It feels dumb. And the part that makes it so stupid and dumb from a design decision is that it's completely and utterly random. It is completely random. Completely. There is no skill involved. There is nothing that has to do with timing or strategy or anything like that. Sure, you can say, hey, I got some burn cards, just like I got my deck ready to go. And eventually you will learn different combinations that people frequently use, but you're always going to be playing like a percentage guessing game. Okay, this guy's probably going to choose this on this map because this is what I would do, or something like along those lines. You know what I mean? Versus knowing ahead of time that this is the strategy, this is the optimal strategy, so this is what you need to do to counter it. You're going to be playing a lot of guessing. And sure, that works with card games, but I don't know if it works in a shooter.
I get frustrated whenever I get killed by, like, an amped weapon. Like, it already annoys me. Because I feel like I didn't know that guy had an amped weapon. I was just playing the game normal. And then this dude just fucking killed me faster than normal because he had an amped weapon.
So,
and that's probably the least worrisome example. Like, I didn't know the guy saw me on the mini-map because he has fucking map hack.
Right.
Like, how are you supposed to account for that? You can't. It's impossible.
Yeah. So, I mean, burn cards for me are probably the most disappointing thing I've seen them introduce in the game so far. Just because of how random it is, and you don't know, we don't know how many of the total cards there are. The deck system is stupid, so you can't collect cards currently. I mean, this is, like you said before the show, it feels rushed. So, you know, it's not like you can have an infinite number of cards and to keep your deck at 26, which doesn't make sense, because if you were playing a traditional card game, you could collect however many cards you wanted and then choose what deck you wanted for play, right? They wouldn't...
You don't lose them whenever you use them once.
Right. So that whole system seems kind of jank. I don't really particularly care for it that much. Here's what my stance is, you know, instead of just cutting it, I want to see what people want to do with this. Like, I want to see where it takes off from a competitive aspect of it before saying, you know, we need to cut this. I think that, wow, chain gun. See that? Took me out. Before saying, you know, this is what the game should be, let's try it out. Let's see how random it is. Let's see what other people use, and let's play like that for a little while. Which is, you know, part of the reason that we're going to be able to do this is because there won't be privates right away. So, you know, we're going to get a chance to see how high level play, because I'm sure we're going to play a couple matchmaking games where, you some players are going to be pretty skilled and they're going to be using burn cards. But the system in itself seems kind of half-assed, rushed, and I honestly feel like it was one of those features where they said, Hearthstone is doing it, so we need to do it too. That's honestly what I feel like right now. Like, they looked at it and said, man, this is popular. How can we incorporate this into our game design?
It seems really rushed in general, which would kind of fall in line with that. You could also look at games like Counter-Strike, which have collectible weapons. But again, that's strictly cosmetic, where it doesn't impact anything. So I don't agree with how they implemented it. It's like the one feature that's really, well, that and the lack of private matches.
But they confirmed that. They confirmed
they're going to add private matches eventually, post-launch. So yeah, I mean, it's the one thing which I was disappointed about. It is, I will say, it is cool when you're able to get rare cards and shit. Like, that feels good. Just, even though I know they're cheap as shit. Like, the other day, like, I've been collecting map packs. I had 6 of them before I used a few of them the other day. Even though, like, I don't feel good using them, and I don't know when I would want to use them, because it's like, okay, I should save my good cards for when, you know?
Right.
Like, for the pub that I really want to win? Is that is that the idea there? Like, I'm supposed to save them for when I want to win?
Perhaps.
I don't know. And then currently you can't stack them or anything, so you have no reason to hold on to them and use them as like a collectible type deal. Maybe if they weren't consumable, it'd be fine, because then everyone would have the same access to the same stuff, and then they could nerf or we could ban certain cards or whatever, you know? Like, maybe that would work okay. But it's the one thing where I hate to make an early judgment on, but it seems like there's no way that it can work from a competitive standpoint and from a, like, just going to a pub and wanting a fair match perspective. I don't see how it could work.
Marcus does. He says without the burn cards, it would be a way from things to getting stale. But I hear you. I feel like that argument is almost like a cop out. There are other things you can do to keep the game being fresh that don't involve inserting random elements to the game just for the sake of diversity. Here you can have a boost here. Here you can have this Titan right immediately. Here you can have this this amped up supercharged weapon. Here you can have a power weapon. Here you can use this ability and your other ability. I feel like that's kind of like a cop out to saying the game gets stale fast. I played the shit out of Unreal. I played thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of hours of Unreal and Gears, and they didn't have any of that. So to say that is kind of like, maybe for some people.
Game development, you know what I mean? Like, that's one of the things that we've seen the last 4 or 5 years, is that there needs to be a progression system where you get stuff piece by piece, or else you won't want to keep playing, is what they keep saying. That's what I keep hearing, is like, there needs to be a system in place where there's something for you to work towards or unlock, or else no one wants to play. And I don't see how it makes sense, given that before COD, I think COD actually probably was one of the first, if not the first, to do this. But before COD, like, none of those games had that stuff, and everyone played. So I don't buy the argument that the game would get stale if there wasn't stuff to unlock and toy with.
Yeah, progression has been a big thing with shooters in the last, since Call of Duty Modern Warfare. So it's just the way, games are being designed with that MMO hook, the RPG hook, to keep you playing the game. But I think that if a game is good, most people would play it anyway, because that's exactly what you and I just said. That's traditionally how it's been. If you enjoyed a game, you continued to play it, regardless of if there were hooks or in it or not. You just played it because you enjoyed it. So that's probably the one thing I don't really like about the game so far. Maybe the only thing that I can really call out that has me upset.
So we can go right off that into what I would say is probably the most controversial thing in the game, and talk about the AI. Personally, I have barely bothered with the AI. Like, I play Hardpoint, where you don't have to kill the AI. They're just kind of there. in attrition, it's a bit different because you do have to kill them. But quite frankly, attrition's not a very good mode.
No.
Because there's no objective. Like, the objective is the AI on the map. That's it. You obviously are fighting with the other players, but if you wanted to, you could sit in your base all day if it weren't for the AI walking out of the base. When the objective is the brain dead AI, I think that signifies the mode is severely flawed, personally. Very least it's not fun for me because I'm just shooting AI that's really just there for bullet fodder, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's no other purpose for it except for just be fodder for people to kill. There's some hacking stuff with the Spectres. It's not very useful. The Spectres themselves aren't very useful, so hacking them doesn't magically make them useful. Yeah, I just don't... I'm not sold on it, but I don't feel like they've ruined the game. I don't feel like they even impact Hardpoint at all. Outside of the odd case where you feel like a player is a grunt or vice versa, and you make a bad... You
shoot, and then that fucks you up, and then you get killed.
Like, that's the only time.
I think that's happened to me 4 times. Maybe 4.
Yeah. And that's probably something that will go down over time, right? You would think?
Like, well, yeah, I know when I'm starting to see a pattern of when bots, I was going to say bats, when bots end up around a point. So, yeah, I find myself shooting at them less. And then the other thing that people have a hard time distinguishing is when there's a player and when there's a bot. Like, bots show up differently on the map, which is something I talked about in my impressions video. But they show up differently, so it's not like you have to shoot them. You just have to pay attention to when an enemy shows up on the map, and then you'll basically be able to tell the difference. And if you paid attention, it's really cut and dry. Like, I can't think of a time, and you had people actually looking at your videos that were saying, "Oh, he's killing bots," and you can clearly tell the difference between a bot based on how it shows up on your HUD and UI than a player. So I think to the naked eye, maybe you can't tell the difference, or someone that hasn't played. But yeah, if you play the game, you'll clearly be like, oh man, he's fucking shit up right now.
It's an issue when you talk about the spectator value of the game with bots, is that if you're watching someone play, and I think this is currently an issue lots of the streams, your initial reaction is, wow, he's wrecking shop right now. Like, he is just taking everything out. And then you learn later on, oh, wait, those were AI. And then you wonder, hey, were those other kills he got AI?
Right.
You don't really know for sure if the person was killing AI or players. It can be a little confusing until you watch a little bit closer and you see the names above their heads and that kind of thing. And I also heard some people at work giving that same impression. Like, their first game they played, they killed a ton of AI, and then at the end of the game they saw the scoreboard and it's like pilots killed 1, AI killed 20, and they're like, oh,
I didn't do that well.
Like, I wasn't doing well. Well, that feels cheap. I want to kill players. And then from that point on, the idea of having AI as cannon fodder is kind of lost because it's cheapened, like,
right.
Cheapened experience. But I've also heard some people say that having the option is something like get them off tilt when they're getting rocked. Like, they can go kill some bots real quick.
Like the Polygon article?
Yeah, Polygon article said. I've heard some other people just say it outside of that as well. But the idea is just that, hey, it gives you something to do if you aren't able to actually kill any pilots. You can still enjoy the game. I think it works better in attrition when you actually are contributing towards the score. In modes where you actually have to accomplish an objective, not sure that it will give you that same satisfaction to feel like you're doing something. But again, like, to me,
I think
the thing they do really well is they make the map feel populated and not completely empty, considering these maps are freaking huge, because they're supposed to be, because you can move through them so fast,
Right.
And they definitely serve the purpose of filling the map, which I think is important.
Generally, I feel... Oh, shit. Damn it. Should have tried the melee. I think that the bot discussion that I've seen has been wildly exaggerated. And/or those people are playing way too much attrition, which, by all accounts, if you're playing attrition, Please stop. It is a fucking terrible thing to play. Please stop.
You keep fighting that campaign against TDM.
Please stop.
Just keep
TDM is ruining games.
It's fine when there's an objective. Like Halo, for example, is a good one because there's weapons on map and shit that you have to control.
I just...
But even then, like, it's not as good as other modes because there's no sub-objective or anything like that.
It's awful.
But this game, like, I don't see why you would play attrition over hardpoint if you're looking for like a fair experience. But yeah, like in attrition, I can see how killing the bots can make you feel, hey, I feel like I'm contributing and not completely worthless. They do fill the map really well. I had minimal issues with recognizing them as players. My biggest issue is when I'm playing hardpoint and they go inside the sites. For whatever fucking reason, they have them programmed to go walk inside the sites. I don't agree with that.
Right.
They're always in the way. But other than that, I haven't minded bots. I know it's going to be a big sticking issue with the competitive guys. I have a feeling that after a few months into the game, when people like get a little bit better, they'll feel like they're getting annoyed by them more. And that'll be a big talking point then. But for the most part, they're fine, in my opinion.
Did I get in there?
I think that pretty much covers everything that's in the beta. Talk about modes, weapons, equipment, pilots, titans, AI, burn cards.
What do we have? The upcoming content that they said they were gonna...
Well, there was leaks. So someone pulled apart the map files from the Steam version. Or the, not Steam version, the PC version of the game. Origin. And pull together the map list and weapon list that are in the game info files. These, I should note, and I don't think I've seen it noted enough, may not actually be final because a lot of times these early builds have features
code in it and
to go all the way to launch, like they've been ditched, you know?
Right.
But there is a bunch of map pictures, which I assume would be legit. So there's 14 maps in addition to training grounds, so 15 total if you'd like. That's a lot. I think that's good. Especially gives hope, since I was talking earlier about movement on the maps being potentially a big issue if the maps are more large like Fracture. So I imagine we'll be able to get at least 6 or 7 good pilot maps out of that.
This dude got rocked.
The Titan stuff. There's 10 modes currently being reported. TDM, capture the Titan. Do you think that'd be like oddball?
Maybe?
That's my initial guess.
I'm out of ammo. Perhaps. I thought Capture the Titan might be CTF, actually.
Well, CTF is separate. That's the next one on the list.
Oh, is it?
Yep. So
then yeah, I guess it may be like Oddball then. Or kind of like a Juggernaut, maybe?
Maybe. Obviously, CTF is something that we were super hyped for and basically demanded a while back. CTF's gonna be the shit. It's gonna be the shit. As a matter of fact, if that's a hopper and like we have to pick one hopper, probably spend most of my time in CTF.
Yeah. Hardpoint is fun, but
that the community also rallies around it because it's gonna be fun as shit.
You know, I've been... Maybe it's just because it hasn't been played a whole lot. Although Call of Duty did play it for a little bit, right? Wow, they're catching up.
CTF, yeah.
I
wouldn't say it plays the same as like the old arena games.
No.
We're probably gonna lose this.
But this will. Is it contested?
CTF and like Unreal and shit. You'd have like a midfielder. You'd have a defense dedicated D guy. You'd have your flag runner, who's usually your sickest movement dude. And like these kind of set roles, but the thing that made it special is just the movement makes it so you can make these crazy flag runs, and stopping flag runs was intense as shit. I think you're gonna get a lot of that with Titanfall. Going down the list, Hardpoint's the next one. Again, I've enjoyed Hardpoint. Point placement is the most important thing. I think, for the most part, it's pretty good on these two maps. part of the cool thing about it in this game is that you can get to the points so fucking fast off respawn.
Yeah.
So it's just endless fights. Like when we've played good people, it's been pretty hectic, would be the word.
Yeah, when we play good people, it's been really good. When we played bad people, it seems really boring.
It's been a stomp, yeah.
But it's definitely something that I think as more people play, we'll start to see like a lot more intense gameplay.
Yeah, I think so. And it could just get to a point where it's just actually not that good because you can get 5 people into the hill repeatedly every 10 seconds. You know? Like,
right.
That could end up being an issue. Then you have uplink, which I have no idea what that would be. And that, I guess it could be a King of the Hill type deal. Last Titan Standing. Do you play much Last Titan Standing?
No.
I feel like it suffers from the same thing that we've talked about a bajillion times with Gears of War Execution.
Uh-huh.
There's just no objective on
No objective?
Like, you have no reason to push out.
Right.
So I imagine that optimal gameplay in that would be pretty unexciting.
You think a bomb game mode would be any fun?
In Titans?
No, just in the game in general. I think it's too fast.
Maybe. I feel like you'd be punished for moving. If you just died once, then you're done, you know?
Yeah. I don't know if we won a game now talking about it.
I know. It's hard to play and talk.
It's hard to play to talk about the game like this and this because I'm really not even at all focused on the game more so than talking to you guys. I get little spurts, but we play pretty well.
Mostly, sir.
But yeah, is that pretty much it?
Exfiltration, which the word is used for like escorting someone out of a like situation.
Okay.
So that might be like a one flag type deal, is what I would imagine. Elimination sounds like probably a single life game type, possibly with pilots since there's already Last Titan Standing.
Right.
And then ATDM, which I have no idea what that would be. Also worth noting is that TDM and attrition are separate, which leaves the possibility there could be some no AI kind of scoring type deal.
Right.
TDM.
Big says uplink could be a bomb game type.
Could be.
Could see that.
So yeah, that was all the league stuff. There was also some talk on the maps. There might be monsters on the maps from what they were saying.
Yeah.
Like sentient life that kind of like flies away and shit, or fights you possibly.
If you instigate,
yeah,
if you antagonize the beast.
There's like these big strider looking dudes, and I want to run along their legs. That's all I want.
You want to run in between their legs,
yep.
like in the movies, like your little herd.
Get a wall bounce going and attach a cable to my back and take it down.
Terrible.
And then some of the weapons were also listed in there, which you talked about earlier. But I think a few of them are in the game as burn cards. At least most of them are.
Right.
There's like 2 or 3 different anti-Titan weapons you can get as burn cards. And it looked like that was all that was on the list. And we can get into competitive now, because post-launch, they've already confirmed that they're going to do some spectator mode. Or not spectator mode, private matches.
Right.
Be careful. They haven't said anything about spectator mode. They've said repeatedly that the most asked question they get is about esports, which I think is pretty crazy, considering that there's no way that anyone would have said that several years ago.
Yep.
But the esports crowd just keeps badgering away. So that was the big reason, I think, behind private matches even getting added. And it might mean that spectator mode can come along eventually, hopefully with the private matches, but I'm not holding my breath for that.
There could potentially be a replay system that they have in here. All right,
possibly,
a little bit.
That's using Source.
And we have seen the ability to spectate players when you're dead at the end of a round.
Yep. Although it's not first person.
Correct. So it sounds like there could be potentially a spectator that could be easily, I want to say easily, that could be added.
Could be done.
That stuff is not easy. So let me get away from saying that, because you know a lot of people will be like, "Oh, it's so easy to do it. You guys almost have it there. Just go ahead and do it. It's so easy." And that shit's not easy. Yeah, like people always downplay how difficult it is to do some of this stuff.
To program, having programmed in their lives.
Yeah. Right. So
that's coming. The question is, how is not having private matches at launch going to affect the competitive Steam for the game?
Well, this is what I said, and I think that you know I said this to Fallout, who was on Get Bronco, a couple other teams for Gears of War. I told him, I was like, you know what it's going to quickly do is weed out the people that are just in it for the quick buck, don't really give a fuck about the game, and are screaming esports, esports, esports because they want $1 million tournament or some bullshit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you know, for those guys that are getting their shit pushed in matchmaking or whatever, that think that this is going to be the next hot esports title, that don't want to wait around, they're going to quickly bail. And I think, you know, unless Respawn puts it out in like a month, I don't really see those guys sticking around and trying to wait it out to see what all they include in their esports package DLC.
Then those guys are going to get rocked when they try and come back to the game after something gets announced, if anything does.
Right.
So yeah, I think I agree with the sentiment that it's going to weed out the people that aren't really interested in playing the game competitively. They're interested in playing competitively and possibly playing something competitively where they won't get 54th place or whatever in COD, you know?
Right.
Shit. And it's not going to overnight compete with COD's esports team, which has had how many years to develop and has big money behind it as well now. But it does seem like they realize there's interest and they're kind of addressing it. The big question is going to be, the game wasn't designed with it in mind. It does have a natural high skill gap, which I think is the most important thing for a competitive game. I would also say it's entertaining to watch. If the response to the videos I've been posting are any indication, when it's played at a higher level. Shit. I think that there's a spectator issue with the AI, as I mentioned before, where if AI are in, then... Is there a guy behind me?
Yeah, I got him.
Where there's AI in, then it can lead to lots of confusion with viewers, and it also kind of kills some of the accessibility there.
Agreed.
And I'm not sure if the solution to that is removing AI or what, or just how it's communicated, maybe. But that's going to be something that's going to have to be addressed. The core gameplay, I think, is competitive to me.
I don't think there's a shadow of a doubt that this could potentially be something that can get big. Certainly if people stick around.
Skill-based and competitive than COD.
I would agree.
Which is the console standard currently.
I'm sure, you know, we talked about the recoil and weapons, and that's what a lot of people like to look to for. Is this? Oh, the shooting is so easy. But again, the people that I've seen playing and talking about that and saying that are guys that are playing it again like Call of Duty, or shooting at guys that are playing it like Call of Duty. And the guys that don't take it to that vertical aspect and, you know, just never will, they're going to continue to feel like this is an easy game playing against people that are always on the ground.
With no skill-based matchmaking.
Right. So it's there. It's definitely there. And I think that, you know, if we were to do an internal scrimmage or something like that, you know, like 3s or 4v4, I think we can pull that off now. That would be very fun. It'd be a lot more fun than I've had in the last, like, 3-4 years playing even Gears, I would say, just because I know how intense some of those matches can be. If you guys have ever played any Unreal Tournament matches or anything like that, like, that shit gets intense and it gets fun, especially on game modes like CTF. So, for me, I am really anxious to see what they do with the competitive stuff.
Yeah, I mean, the most fun games I've had playing on the beta have been the ones where there's like 2 or 3 good people on the other team that give us a run for their money, or run for our money.
Yeah.
Then we're able to have like an actual legit competitive match at least as legit as you can get. As far as like what hurdles they're going to have to address, the AI thing. There's also the burn card scenario, which will probably just be solved by disabling them in private matches. Realistically,
and I'm just not convinced that the AI at least is something that, at least for the objective modes, like we're not going to be playing team deathmatch. I don't care what anybody says. I would never play team deathmatch.
As far as AI being a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my issues are mostly from the spectator aspect.
Shit.
From a gameplay aspect, I don't think it's an issue enough to warrant worrying about it currently. It is one of those things I hope the developers Respawn work with the community to address, like some of the bigger concerns. Like, readability has always been the #1 complaint. But I've also heard lots of people like saying, hey, I like the fact that I can blend in with the crowd and yada, yada, yada. So I don't see them changing that. But that's going to be one of the things which I would kind of like to see them at least consider, is increasing how you can make those reads. But yeah, I think the game has legs competitively. It's going to take a while, though. It's going to be a slow growth. And it's not going to be something that happens overnight. I don't see them announcing like $1 million tournament or anything like that anytime soon.
They're not going to pull a Red 5? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I don't see them pulling a Red 5. Don't see him pulling a Battlefield.
Battlefield? $1.6 million tournament.
Yeah. But it's on their radar, and I think that the community will be there. I hope that what ends up happening is that they can kind of show, hey, we can market your game in a great way by showing all this crazy shit, you know?
Right.
And that's going to be the best selling point for the game competitively. But it's going to take a while. Like, it's going to be a slow growth. And that's probably what's realistically best for the game long term, in my opinion.
I agree. I think that
I know people are going to freak out and be like, oh no, it needs to be right off launch or else we're going to lose players, you know? But I don't think that's good. I don't think it's a good approach to force a new IP into that role.
Yeah, I 100% agree. It's something that we kind of talked about with, that kind of happened with Gears and some of the other games post MLG, is that a lot of gamers now think that if the game isn't MLG, then it's not worth their time. And so you see a lot of games die quickly or lose that natural growth it would have had anyway, because the scene there thinks, oh my god, I need to play in this tournament so I can make money playing games.
Despite the fact that no one really makes money playing games except for
a handful of people.
Like a very small handful of people.
Yeah, so I would most certainly like to see it explored. My major concerns right now are basically whether or not the competitive community can even, you know, kind of. Hold on, I'm trying to deal with this dude rodeoing me. If the competitive community can get around some of the things that I know they're going to be talking about and just play the base game. Can we focus on playing as much of the base game as possible versus let's get rid of Titans. Let's ban this weapon. Let's ban everything. You know, that's my major concern once private matches come into effect. And that really depends on actually how much control they end up giving us. You know, what all can we actually take away in private rooms? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's something we talked about a few times before, that if they don't let us take anything away, it could be a great thing in the sense that it lets people actually play the game, and it makes it as close as possible to retail, which is, in my opinion, critical for the big growth of the game as a competitive title.
Right.
Custom settings tend to alienate fans and also limit the amount of people who will spectate. Also, people will play long term because they're like, hey, this is a whole different game than what I'm playing.
Right.
Even today, they were like, they had a stream, and one of the chat questions was, will you do any modes without Titans? And they're like, no. Like, why would we do that? It's Titanfall. So, I mean, It's like, you can't approach it that way. You can't be like, all right, ban Titans, ban AI, ban burn cards, infantry only, CTF Dom.
Right. That's not even the same game, right? You're not playing the same game. It's like at that point, go play Call of Duty and pester Infinity Ward, Sledgehammer, and Treyarch and say, hey guys, can you guys put in wall jumping? And then you pretty much have the same game, right? You have no mechs, you have your kill streaks, and you have movement that is similar to this. So I just see no point in saying, hey, let's strip everything down that makes this game unique and let's compete on that, because that is not the game you're playing. You're playing some version that is not authentic to the experience.
Yeah. So I mean, if they, like I said, for me, and I hate rushing to judgment. I hate rushing to judgment. But burn cards are the one thing that's going to be an issue for the community, for sure. Like, I'm not sure there's any way around it. But if they like say they don't allow us to ban burn cards, then the community's gonna have to have like community enforced rules. I think is what'll end up happening, and that could still lead to like a really weird situation as far as the relationship between the competitive guys and respawn. You know.
Right.
So I mean, there's hurdles. There's definitely hurdles. Which is all tied into the fact the game wasn't made for competitive play. You know,
Yep.
like has a skill gap. It has, in my opinion, the most skilled gameplay of any console game that's come out recently. Possibly going back to Unreal, right?
Maybe. I mean, a lot of people would argue Halo.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm personally, I feel like there was a minor skill gap in Gears, but just the dynamic of shooting people on one plane, or knowing that, you know, it was more of a tactical thing. I think with Gears at the highest level is, you know, how can I beat this guy? Because I mean, the movement really didn't change. It was side to side strafe, and I'm going to overwhelm you with team fire. That's pretty much it. And grabbing power weapons. You know what I mean? So it wasn't like it was some fantastic journey into the competitive scene for that game that really distinguished players from other players. It was more, you know, oh man, this guy's shotgun is pretty good. He has a pretty good strafe. That was it.
I think you say the same thing about Halo, though. Like, it's generally whoever shot who first was going to win the fight, or it was team fire, you know? I feel like in this game, like, there's so much potential for individual plays.
See, I have to go. I can't quite say that, because Halo 2, there was like all those fucking glitches that people used to be.
Yeah, there was a lot of glitches in Halo 2.
So, like, you couldn't. Yeah, you couldn't get away with not knowing how to use some of those glitches on Halo 2. Or you just get destroyed. So, that was artificially inflated by glitches. So, if you knew how to glitch better, then you were a better player. And some of that stuff...
This game has movement glitches?
It does, Colin. You get stuck on light posts.
This has good ones? It's gonna be nasty. But yeah, like, the gameplay is there. I don't even think there's an argument about that. To anyone who actually knows how to play the game, I don't think there's an argument about it. I have to add that caveat. Since people are very quick to judge without actually knowing what they're doing. And I think that after a few fucking scrim videos or match videos pop up, everyone's be like, holy shit. You know, I think it's going to change perceptions. But until then...
I mean, they have to be some really interesting match videos, because, like, we could have posted that. I didn't know you could do a complete 180 on the wall to change your momentum. Yeah, I was just doing it.
You didn't see in the video? I did it like 4 times. I just made it look so smooth. Didn't even notice I did it.
Well, I mean, I guess I didn't quite pay attention. I guess maybe I did know. I don't know. It felt different how I was doing it. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it for, you know, what we had to discuss tonight. There's not too many other things I can really think of that we should cover. Go to the chat, and, you know, the questions are going to be really delayed because I'm looking at YouTube chat. But if you guys have any questions...
Getting in, so if you guys have any questions or thoughts on Titanfall, go ahead and post them, and we'll discuss here in a second after this match is done.
Probably. Oh, fuck.
So I'm watching the chat. As far as, do you want to take a second to pitch the content we got coming?
I can't even remember all the stuff we said. All right, so the tips and tactics stuff is going to resume. There's a couple of things that I think we're going to have to divvy up. Obviously, you know, each player on our team has a pretty unique style, and you know, we were talking about it last night on stream. It's pretty, like, you can tell who's playing by watching them play almost. Like, it's pretty obvious to, you know, to kind of see who's going to be doing what. But from my standpoint, we're probably going to focus on things like, you know, weapons at some point in time, movement tutorials, movement routes, and I don't want to get too in depth because if you say that stuff, Colin, people can be like, "Oh my God, I got to do this before them. I got to be first." So I got to be really careful about all the stuff that we have planned. But let's just say we're gonna do a lot of stuff. Yeah, because a lot of people will try to imitate with their own type of tips and stuff, and they'll look at this. This is the same stuff that happened on Gears. So I'm really guarded about saying all the types of content that we're going to have, but believe me when I say trust that we're going to have a lot of shit.
This is about to be 400 to 14. What the fuck?
Oh, wow. This is the lowest score, Colin.
This is the lowest score?
This is the lowest score I've seen.
Beat up to 25 from yesterday.
Wow. Lowest score right there, victory. Wow. You went 17 and 3? What were you doing? I was just floating around.
I was just killing people around their spawn. As I talked about earlier, the spawning is not good. Like, we capped all 3 points, and they just spawned outside A repeatedly. That guy thought he could run away.
Yeah. You ain't going nowhere, boy.
Yeah, like, the spawns don't flip, so they were going to keep spawning at A over and over and over. Just bad spawning for a company named Respawn. Just saying.
Which combat do you prefer, Titan or Pilot? I'd say against a good pilot, I prefer pilot combat. But I do like Titan combat more, I would say, in general, than I do Titan or pilot combat, because I haven't seen very many good pilots running around that make it interesting. And once people get into Titans, it seems like, I don't know if they get superpowers or something like that. They just seem more, I don't want to say more, I'm going to say challenging. I say, yeah, they seem more challenging whenever they hop into a Titan. So, you know, I'm a guy that likes being challenged. So, for me, that's probably the biggest thing. I'm going to go ahead and switch back to cameras.
Yeah, turn your Skype cam back on.
All right.
Yeah, I'd say that, like, once people get the pilot shit down, it's going to be fucking fun as hell. I look forward to meeting other people in the skies and duking it out.
Have you guys seen anything about Chroma? What do you think of it? Seems like a cool concept. I'm interested to see how it plays out.
Did you see anything?
I haven't. No, what is it?
It's a game from Harmonix.
Is that the music-based shooter?
Yeah, essentially they took the dubstep gun and made a game out of it.
Really?
It's kind of class-based as well, so you can have like a team of jazz characters versus a team of metal characters. I'm just throwing this out there. Then you can do battle. It's gonna be really difficult for them to pull off because you're supposed to be like shooting sound.
Okay, that sounds.
Not make that sound horrendous.
That sounds interesting.
Yeah, so it should be interesting. I'm skeptical because all those, like, most of those music games, like, do this to the rhythm usually aren't very good.
Right. Okay.
Twitch chat's dead.
How do you guys think the Xbox 360 version is going to play? Would you recommend getting an Xbox One for Titanfall? I think that you will probably cheapen the experience trying to play the game on the Xbox 360, but I don't know how it plays. Can't speak to it because they haven't shown it yet. If I'm not mistaken, isn't it delayed a little bit? Isn't it coming out shortly after?
Yeah, the 25th, I think.
So take that with a grain of salt, but generally speaking, if you can't make the deadline date for when the game launches, they probably had some technical hurdles they had to try to overcome.
I'll say this: the frame rate on the Xbox One is not 60. Like it's 60, but it dips a lot. And if you're in the Titans, it drops down to like 45, 35 ish. On 360, I would not have much hope for the frame rate being very good.
Embiid says, should Titanfall be the only game without TDM? I don't know. We don't have TDM in loadout. TF2 didn't have any TDM for a long time. They were all objective-based game modes. So I'm not a fan of TDM. I think it'll ruin the game personally. So there's going to be a lot of people in attrition just doing stupid stuff.
I think the game should be CTF only.
No, I like hardpoint because zipping around from point to point is pretty cool. You don't get that in CTF.
Around from flag to flag.
But it's only 2 points, so you're always going to be doing the fastest. Well, not always.
That's not true.
That's not so said. Not always.
How are you going to say that, Mr. CTF?
Yeah, not always.
There's a safe route, there's a risky route, and then there's like 5 intermediate routes.
Right. So I don't know.
To the side where your team has control.
I don't know how it's going to play out. One thing, Colin, I am concerned about is if someone is playing D, they're going to have that chain gun, auto Titan on autopilot with another dude sitting right around it. That's exactly
how the meta develops as far as like using
Titans to defend.
Defense busters.
Yep. What did I say though?
Throw one on defense with a chain gun, and then like once you got 2 or 3 of them, you'd have them drop in with quads or something, and then you just go roll in.
So I'm just pointing this out. 3 weeks ago, I think I said this. 3 weeks ago on the show, before anyone else really got a chance to play, and before anyone else was talking about it at PAX, I was like, you know what? I imagine if you set your guard on the Auto Titan around an objective, it'd probably be pretty lethal. Sure enough, what are we seeing? Chain gun, Auto Titans ripping you apart.
Sticking their chain gun in the windows at ASAP.
What about bomb game type with a twist? Bombing Run was that on Unreal.
Yeah,
kind of.
Something like Bombing Run.
That was more like football, but
I don't know. Where like a player is the objective will be fun.
Do you guys think controllers feel better than mouse and keyboard? Colin, you are the guru now of playing the game on PC with a controller, shooting on PC players.
I haven't tried mouse and keyboard though.
You haven't?
Because I play at work and my mouse is like a $15 like crappy mouse. So I feel better with the controller just by default because the mouse is very good.
Colin, what show are we on?
Frag Logic.
Who are we sponsored by?
Razer.
Why don't you just ask Razer or whoever
for a work mouse?
No, you could just use the Death Adder or another mouse, a Typon or something like that.
Yeah, Razer, I just need a mouse for work. Gotta go hard.
Xbox on Snap.
Xbox on Snap.
Stop listening. Did I say the word Xbox?
I think you did.
Fuck, man.
So I played with the controller on PC, and I wrecked everyone. Roughly the same as I was doing on console, maybe a little bit harder. I think people on PC play objective more, is what I determined.
I found that if I played mouse and keyboard, that my movement suffered a lot more than on PC, but my aiming was a lot crisper on PC. So, and that's generally what people will say about console versus PC anyway. I mean, if you analyze platformers or games that are on PC from a platforming standpoint, and then you look at them on console, platforming is always easier to do on a console than aiming. So,
yeah, and again, the fact that I've been using shotgun doesn't really require that much aiming. It's mostly like you position yourself so that the shotgun's in their face, you know?
Right.
So I think that contributes to it as well. But yeah, you can hang with controller on PC. They add auto aim similar to what I believe the same as what you have on Xbox. One thing I did have to turn off, the fucking vibration was insane on the 360 controller compared to the Xbox One controller.
Ugh. When's the Razer Xbox One controller coming out? No idea.
They did announce it though.
They did.
I can hear your Xbox going nuts. Maybe that's mine. Oh, let me turn that off.
Are you guys doing a Frag Logic on March 11th? Is that a Tuesday?
That is launch day.
Shit. Well, yeah, we'll probably do one. I don't know if we'll probably have to do a standard show.
We might just do it like this, and just, instead of talking about the game, we'll just play.
Yeah, I mean, there's not going to be much to talk about. I think we pretty much got it down.
All of our viewers are going to be watching, or be playing Titanfall anyways.
Probably.
You better all be playing Titanfall.
Like I said, I encourage everyone to tell your friends, tell your family. That means your brothers and sisters that are playing games. Tell whoever. Check out Colin's gameplay. Check out our gameplay. I'm going to be pumping this because I have yet to see... I'm going to take that back. I have seen very little gameplay of Titanfall right now that has been something that I would be like, you know what? You need to go check that out. You need to go view that because everyone keeps playing this like Call of Duty. So, if you want to see some exceptional gameplay, I'm sure there's going to be some Quake and Unreal guys coming out of the woodworks that are also going to be exceptionally good at this on the PC side. But I really encourage you guys to check out our Titanfall stuff. I'm going to keep harping on it because I really want this to be a kind of a special thing, kind of like our coming out, since we're getting out of the shadow of Gears and moving on to, you know, some other stuff right now. It feels good to be able to say, hey guys, check this out. Our team is playing again. So that's one of the things I really want to kind of encourage now. And I hope more of my subscribers, who are all Gears heads, obviously, or most of them are, will start transitioning over to, oh man, this game is pretty good. Oh shit. Let me go back and watch Arctic stuff. I forgot that he even played instead of looking for the same old Gears stuff. So that'll be good.
You're gonna post like 2 Titanfall videos and be like, why'd you leave Gears?
I haven't seen it yet, dude.
It's gonna come.
I haven't seen it yet.
It's gonna come. Yeah, Twitch chat's completely dead for me. So if you guys are saying stuff in Twitch, I'm sorry, but it's dead. Twitch sucks tonight. I did get one comment from Twitter, from Phoenix Rising 21. Any chance the VSync in Titanfall can be improved this close to launch on Xbox One? Seemed to be a little worse than Alpha. Maybe. This build's probably like a month or 2 old. But that's a complex issue when it comes to optimizing frame rate. So I don't know. I imagine it will be improved. It's just a matter of if it's improved enough that you'd even notice it.
Looking at anything. Titanfall is the rebirth of ZYN. We don't know about that, but it's definitely got us all playing again.
Yeah.
Cali North confirmed back in action.
See me helping out?
Yeah. Do you see this message?
No.
You need to check Facebook. Yeah. Sent us.
We need to get Carrington back.
Listen, we know what? We need to do like a convention for him, like an
intervention.
Intervention.
An intervention.
Intervention.
Where we introduce an addictive substance into his life. I think that's backwards.
No.
I think that's the opposite.
Do like an intervention. Hey, we got to talk to you about this.
Talk to you about the lack of Titanfall in your life.
Yeah. We need to bring you in and, you know, everybody just sit down. Just sit down, Carrington. Listen, we've been really concerned about your progress in games. You know, you just threw your life away. You know, you just wasted all your talent. Practicing that speech. He watches this too, by the way. You wasted all your talent. You gotta You got to come back to us. You got to play.
He's pulling a Barry Sanders, like.
Yeah, right.
Except
we need to.
Except instead of football, like he could have been like, he could have had a second career as a like Nerf football champion. Have fun playing Nerf.
Are you guys gonna play with subs? I think Colin and I, we need to try to figure out how we can start incorporating that.
My issue right now is the Xbox One party system requires you to add people to your party, which would also put them in chat. I'm not cool with strangers in chat.
Yeah, Colin's a little different than me with that. Like, I did sub Sundays, which was a good thing. That my issue with right now with doing subscriber Sundays are my daughter, and family time right now is like overwhelming my ability to stream at times when I would normally do so. So it's like I have to stream, like last night, 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. I was streaming because my daughter didn't go to sleep until 10:45 or 10:30 or something like that. So, you know, I normally did those on like from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. in the morning. And, you know, she's getting better, but it's really difficult for me to sit down and play with subs. And I really, as of right now, need to focus on team focused stuff. Like team oriented play is the only time I really get a chance to relax, other than when I'm at work and I can kind of play around on loadout and stuff. That's a little bit different. But you know, my time right now for games is really limited, so I have to spend as much time as I can developing that stuff with my team, whether it be strats or, you know, just communication, getting back into the groove. That's what I'll be spending most of my time, I'd say, the next couple months. But I will try to do some stuff with subs when I can. Cal? Arctic, where can I get a loadout t-shirt? If you go to a PAX event or RTX, you can get them there.
With the Titan drops, I've gotten 2 Atlas cards and no Strider or Ogre.
My camera's starting to flake out.
2 challenges I completed? Yeah, I saw that. The 2 challenges I completed gave me the Atlas. So that kind of sucked.
Why is Skylar so quiet on YouTube but sounds fine on Twitch? I don't know. He sounds perfectly normal to me, and my sound settings haven't changed. But there was an update to Open Broadcaster software that may have switched it since last week. So if he's quiet, I apologize. We tried to quickly get this together so we could organize it. Not a whole lot of prep time. I have yet to get a Strider or an Ogre.
You haven't gotten either?
Nope. Are the textures final on PC? I haven't heard anything about textures other than alpha stuff.
I'd assume they're final. Can we play with the S?
Any room for another member for your team? Currently, no. Andrew? Is that about it? 2-hour show? It's not bad.
I think that's about it.
Managed to get all this to work. I'm surprised. I'm very, very surprised.
Yeah, sucks the Twitch chat wasn't working tonight. At some point, it just died entirely.
Do you guys think SCUF controllers, SCUD, I'm assuming you mean SCUF, controllers will be useful in Titanfall? Yep. I won't use a SCUF, but they'll probably be useful. Zuganator jumped over from Twitch tonight. Yeah. YouTube is actually more reliable than Twitch.
Yeah, and the chat's actually been fine too.
Rare occasion.
Yeah, that Twitch chat is worse than Skype chat.
You mean YouTube?
Or yeah. When will I stream again? Maybe tomorrow night before the game goes down. Then after that, I'll probably stream some Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare when that comes out on the 25th.
25th. Yeah. So
again, like I only stream playing games that I enjoy playing, so I won't stream like stuff that I don't think A is entertaining or B is fun.
Yeah, and there's a period
entertaining to watch with me playing. I'm sorry.
Why not?
I'm not great enough, and it's hard to entertain people for a 55-minute match.
Unless you're doing crazy stuff.
I'm a funny guy, but I'm not a character, you
know. you're not drinking and saying silly stuff and I don't know, putting on.
But yeah, I'm not putting on a character.
I gotcha.
Plus, I like to focus and win, which is always gonna be the issue.
That was why this gameplay session was so disheartening to me.
Yeah, I know.
Just sitting there losing because you can't focus on the game.
Yeah.
Later, Vibrant Strobe. Thanks for stopping by, man. Have a good night. Are you guys going to focus on PC or console for it? This will be our last question. Actually, there's going to be two. What is your name on Twitch, Skyless?
Yeah, I replied in chat. It's the same as my Twitter. It's Skyzen.
Okay.
SKYZYN.
And then, are you guys going to focus on PC or console for Titanfall? Both? Mostly
console.
Mostly console, but we will be playing both.
We can get all the guys to get PC though. It'd be fun to scrim people on PC.
And get our asses pushed in?
With controllers?
We'll get our asses.
But think about
how... We'll be on the other side.
Be,
they will be pushed in.
Think about how shit... That transition though.
I plan on playing on PC in pubs so I can learn stuff quickly.
We get scrimming against Rafa on PC. And then we go and play Joshmo on console.
Rafa will shit on us. By himself.
Like he did me Quake back in the day?
Yeah. Do you remember?
Gameplay video still floating around somewhere.
Oh man, Colin. So yeah, guys. That's it for today's show. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It was fun playing and talking about the game while we played. Probably the most in-depth breakdown of the game that you're going to get, I think.
Probably.
Maybe a couple other guys that might do some pretty in-depth stuff that I can think of off the top of my head. But if you're on YouTube, that was probably the most in-depth breakdown you're going to get from some competitive guys. So hope you guys enjoyed the show. Next week, PVZ, maybe...
Are we going to play on stream?
No, we're not going to play PVZ. We might be able to show some gameplay. How about we try to show some gameplay footage?
Gameplay recorded?
Yeah, and then we can show that. And kind of talk about it, because that's going to be our next game, and then we're probably going to, I'm going to try to actually gather all the news from this past week that we missed, and then throw that in with next show as well.
Yeah, sounds good.
So, that's about it, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and we will see you all next Tuesday. I'm sure there'll be some streams that you guys can check out. Colin showing Loki.
Say bye, Loki. Yeah, you
don't. Meow.
All right, see you guys next week.
Yep. Later.